Can finally breathe. Morgan Gibbs-White expresses his relief as the Sean Dyche era at Nottingham Forest begins with victory over Porto.
These guys were getting absolute accolades for fun last season, rightly so, by the way. But then to come downwards from that and suddenly everyone's questioning all sorts of things, he's not easy as a footballer.
All right. Now, Sean Dyche has made an instant impact at Nottingham Forest. His reign as head coach began with an impressive 2-0 win over Porto in the Europa League. And there were some revealing quotes from Morgan Gibbs-White after the game, who said he can finally breathe after a difficult few months. Forest were given a first-half penalty when former Southampton defender Jan Bednarek handled the ball. Yes, a penalty given. Gibbs-White stepped up and scored the first goal of the Dyche era. In the second half, Nicolo Savona was brought down by Martin Fernandez. After a VAR check, Forest were given another penalty, which Igor Jesus took and beat Diogo Costa. 2-0, good win for Nottingham Forest, great atmosphere as well.
It is a step. That's all it is, because obviously the Premier League, we've got to do well in that as well, and we want a team that can be competitive in all competitions. Of course, every manager does. Overall, this is a really great competition for this club with its history in Europe to be back there after all them years. But let's face it, the Premier League, we've got to change that.
After the game, Morgan Gibbs-White spoke about the impact of Dyche. He said, "I feel like I can finally breathe. It's been a difficult couple of months here with all the changes that have happened, the bad performances. You can feel the morale within the stadium. You can feel the morale within the group. It feels a lot higher, a lot more energetic. It feels a lot more positive, and that's the way it needs to be. And it needs to stay like that for us to continue and try to push forward." That's credit to the manager.
It's not easy when things are not going well, and you've got to remember these guys were getting absolute accolades for fun last season, rightly so, by the way. But then to come downwards from that and suddenly everyone's questioning all sorts of things, he's not easy as a footballer. You know, new experiences for these as well, a lot of new experiences with the Europa League and the noise of that.
Right, so as you know, Jay Bothroyd is with us this morning. Interesting quotes from Morgan Gibbs-White. What do you think he means?
I just think it means that, when Nuno was there, they understood exactly how they were going to play. They knew exactly what was expected of them, and I feel like him saying that is pretty much him basically saying, now we can go back to what we're used to. Now we can breathe. Now we can go and play the way we're set up. And really, they're in Europe because of their success when Nuno was there. So I think it's very much, I'm not going to say it's an insult to Ange, because I don't think it is. I don't think he's that way. But ultimately, I think the way Dyche set that team up is very similar to the way Nuno had his team set up when he was there.
Is that the biggest thing you noticed watching it, that it looks like they've gone back to how they were last season?
Yeah, because when you look at the way Dyche has been, at all of his clubs pretty much, is very organised, defensively sound, don't concede too many goals, but then counter-attack, break fast, and that's very much what Nuno was. But I think he's gone in there, Dyche has gone in there, and I think he's going to have the same kind of impact that Moyes had on that Everton team, which is man management, put his arm around a lot of the players, especially the likes of Morgan Gibbs-White being one of the best players, and kind of reverting to what they're used to. Obviously, he's come out already, said no hats, no gloves, but you can wear white socks, so I'm sure they'll be happy with that.
It's been made very clear that Nottingham Forest's aim is not just to stay up. All right, they want to get up the table.
They're better than that.
And they're in Europe. There's other domestic competitions as well. How far can Dyche take this current squad, not just this season but in the future?
I think he can do very much what they did last year. I mean, that performance against Porto, that's a huge scalp. Porto are a good side. They've got some good young players, technical players, but they ground out a result there. And yes, it was 2 penalties, people will say, but ultimately they played really well. They battled hard. They were organised. Porto didn't really look like scoring and dominating the game. So it was a good performance, a good first performance as well, because that's the I think as a new manager, you want to get the first win as soon as possible, and what better way to do it than in Europe?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're joined now by Nottingham Forest supporter George Edwards. Good morning, George. I know you'll be happy about last night, but actually rather than happy, is it more relief than happiness?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's the Forest that we recognise and that we've seen over the last few years. It just felt like we'd lost our identity in the last sort of 40 days. It didn't feel like we were going to watch the same football team, the same club that we've become so affiliated with over the last few years. It was a night that I think not just my generation, but every generation of Forest fans were waiting for, to be back on the European scene, to be competing with, I think, the best team in that competition so far, and to outplay them. We completely dominated Porto. They offered nothing really throughout the 90 minutes. And yeah, it was just nice to see the Forest that we recognised back. And, you know, Marinakis acknowledged that he made the mistake by appointing Ange, moved swiftly to correct it. And now I think we can only look upwards.
Did you see any obvious changes in the performance?
I think the players just felt far more comfortable with what they were being asked to do. You know, we weren't trying to be something we're not. We were set up in a back four, 2 in front of them, 3 in front of them, and then the striker up front in the system that we've been playing for the last 3 years, the system that Forest have always played. You know, we're built on determination, on grit, and primarily on having a solid base. So it just felt like everybody felt comfortable with what they were being asked to do. We weren't trying to do something we weren't, and we weren't ready for. You know, it just felt like everybody belonged where they were playing, and it's no surprise that the result came.
George, obviously I watched the game last night, and one thing that I really took from it is the wide areas that Forest have were utilised again. The pace up and down, putting balls in the box, and then you're playing. And it's not being disrespectful. It's a low block, being organised, and then breaking fast. I said when Ange went in there, it's going to be a culture shock for some of them players, because you're asking them to do something they haven't done for a long time, which is play out for the back. Some of them players will not be comfortable on the ball, and I think Dyche has gone in there with the mindset of, let's be pragmatic, let's do what we're good at.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Nikola Milenkovic hasn't had the best start to the season. I think he had his best performance of the season just because he went back to playing the football that suited his strengths. And like you said, we utilised the wide areas. Douglas Luiz and Elliot Anderson ran the show in midfield because under Ange, the midfield was very cramped. Zinchenko was in there, and it felt like we were always trying to go for midfield. Whereas because we had that wide option, we had players overlapping, we also had far more space in midfield to dominate and for those players to shine. So yeah, it just felt like we played to everybody's strengths and that everybody felt comfortable.
George, there was a few times as well, like you said there with Milinkovic, he pinged a few balls out to Hudson-Odoi, like 40-yard balls where Hudson-Odoi is just bringing it down on his chest and then you're attacking again. And I think that's his qualities, like you said. Playing through and coming out with the ball is not what Milenkovic is good at. He can do it, but I did see Murillo doing that a lot more than Milinkovic, where he was more that covering defender when Murillo stepped out.
And that's exactly how the pair of them play. You know, they played with each other. It's their second season together. Murillo is this eccentric, brilliant player who's brilliant on the eye. And you've got Milenkovic next to him who just cleans up. You know, any ball that went over the top, he was all over their centre forward, mopped it up, forced him out wide, and by the time they got anywhere near him, we were backed up. So yeah, the fluidity between them was just back, the chemistry was back, and apart from a few set pieces, Forest never looked like conceding yesterday, and I don't think we've been able to say that for the past couple of months, really.
George, I'm going to say this, right? The more I see Anderson playing, the more I think he's like a top midfielder. I'm going to ask both of you, Tom and George, can he play at the likes of City, Arsenal, you know, Liverpool, all these kind of teams? Because even when he plays for England, he looks like one of the best players and he looks so comfortable.
Well, he can, but they're not going to let him go, are they? They didn't let Morgan Gibbs-White go. And at the time, he was more highly rated than Elliot Anderson. So Marinakis has proved that he's got the ambition to keep hold of his best players. So can he? Yes. Will he? That's not as easy.
Yeah, I mean, Elliot just looks so comfortable wherever he plays, and it probably hurts for you to say Tom as a Sunderland fan, but he's such an exceptional
That's why I got you involved.
He doesn't play for them anymore. He doesn't play for Newcastle anymore. He's Forest through and through.
When you watch him play for England, like even on his debut, he was just the best player on the pitch. He played with such confidence, and he played in the number 6 role with Rice and with somebody else ahead of him. That's not what he plays at Forest. He plays next to Luiz. He gets further forward. So on his debut for England, he was playing a completely new position, yet he just slotted right in there. You know, we've got some really talented players, and that's what was so disappointing about the run of form, because you saw last season how well we played, how well some of the players can play. But it felt like their confidence was shot and everything they did last season was taken away from them. But they've just been given the tools to unlock and to play at their best.
George, do you bring back Chris Woods when he's fit?
I think Jesus played really well last night, but absolutely, Chris Wood is the epitome of what Sean Dyche wants in a striker.
Exactly, I was going to say that. Sean Dyche will love a player like him where he can just say, right, when you get in this attacking third, I want you to put crosses in the box as much as possible and then get your midfielders getting in there as well.
And how good is it to have two options like Chris Wood and Igor Jesus, who both offer very different things? Jesus on the ball, I thought, was exceptional last night. He was dropping into midfield, getting it off Gibbs-White, winning the ball back.
Yeah.
And then you've got somebody like Chris Wood, when he returns to fitness, who's so different to him, but can play in such the system. And, he scored 20 goals last season. He's such a phenomenal player. So to have them two options, it's very exciting at the minute. And it's very strange to have such positivity on the run of form that we are. But it's amazing what one result can do.
So where do you think that Forest need to strengthen in order to solidify themselves in them European spots going forward?
I think I'm going to sound like a player here, but I think we just got to take it game by game. We can't be looking further than the relegation zone at the minute. That's where we're in the
relegation zone.
Well, that's where we are at the minute. And
it's only 8 games. You can't be thinking about the relegation zone.
Well, I spoke to you a few weeks ago, Jay, and I said we were challenging for Europe, and you laughed at me. So I think Forest
I've changed my tune since I seen last night's game.
Classic Jay. Classic Jay. Whatever you say, he'll disagree.
We have to accept where we are now.
Honestly, if I'm being realistic, I actually think that with the way Forest play, and now you've got the manager that can revert back to the style of, being organised, conceding a little amount of goals. I feel like Nottingham Forest should be top 8 comfortably.
Yeah, at the start of the season, that was the ambition. Now, obviously, we're behind the 8 ball. We're starting in a position that we didn't want to be. So the priority has to be just to get some form together, get some wins, and then as soon as we start to climb the league, then who knows where we'll go. But the thing is, the ambition and the belief is back. That was shot from the football club for the past 2 months. But Sean Dyche just came in. He aligns with our vision and with what we want to see from our football club. And I think now the only way is up. And it's such a positive thing to say after what we've been through under Ange. And we can finally draw that chapter to a close.
Right, George, enjoy that trip to Bournemouth on Sunday. Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Thank you very much.